A witness in a congressional hearing suggests aliens are real, and the latest in military nominations. All of that and more today, July 27th, 2023. Good morning, Early Birds. I'm Zamone Perez, and this is the Early Bird Brief, produced by Defense News and Military Times. First up, a former intelligence official turned whistleblower testified before Congress that the highest levels of the United States government have concealed a decades-long UFO retrieval and reverse engineering program.
At the time, due to my extensive executive-level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
David Grush is a retired Air Force major and intelligence officer at the National Reconnaissance Office. That's the agency tasked with monitoring and operating U.S. spy satellites. During his time there, he was put on the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Task Force. But Grush's testimony flies in the face of what the Pentagon has told lawmakers about UFOs. In April, the Senate Armed Services Committee held a hearing about UFOs. It was only the second hearing on the subject in 50 years. Sean Kirkpatrick is head of the Pentagon office tasked with analyzing and researching reported UFO sightings. In that April hearing, he denied claims that any UFO sightings were extraterrestrial in nature or that they even defied the laws of physics.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals.
Grush said he had spoken with Kirkpatrick about some of his concerns before Kirkpatrick took over the research office in 2022. The Pentagon did not respond when asked for confirmation about whether Grush and Kirkpatrick spoke. Now we have to pause here and tell you that there is a lot we do not know. Grush's testimony is interesting, but there was a lot that he would not say publicly. He told lawmakers that he would speak about who exactly is working to conceal these programs in a closed, classified hearing. He also would not go into details about alleged whistleblowers who faced retaliation. Grush did not provide any documents to corroborate his claims in the public hearing. But this also feeds into the American public's fascination with the unknown, especially in our airspace. A Gallup poll in 2021 found that 40% of Americans believe at least some of the unidentified phenomena are alien spacecraft. Another important story, President Joe Biden announced some additional picks for top uniform and civilian posts at the Pentagon. Biden nominated General David Allvin as his nominee to serve as the next Air Force Chief of Staff. If confirmed, Allvin, who's a career mobility pilot and strategist, would replace General C.Q. Brown. Brown is nominated to lead the Joint Chiefs of Staff as its chairman. Allvin would manage a $180 billion budget and 689,000 uniformed and civilian employees around the world during his 4-year term. He would also hold one of 8 seats on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The new chief would also play a role in reversing the Air Force's struggle to recruit and retain airmen, particularly pilots, maintainers, and cyber operators. Allvin earned his officer commission from the Air Force Academy in 1986. Since then, he has accumulated more than 4,600 flight hours. He has also served in various command jobs and strategy roles. The Biden administration on Tuesday also announced that State Department counselor Derek Chollet will get the nod to become the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. Chollet has served in both the Obama and Biden administrations. This is not his first appointment to the Pentagon, however. He had previously served as Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs. Also, according to congressional records online, President Joe Biden nominated Marine Corps Lieutenant General Christopher Mahoney to serve as the service's number 2 officer. Mahoney is a career aviator and a previous 3rd Marine Air Wing commanding general. Still, it's not clear how soon these newest nominees may be able to take the job. Nearly 300 military officials are ensnared in Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville's months-long hold on Pentagon nominees in protest of the department's abortion-related policies. In other news, we are highlighting the selected Service Members of the Year awarded by the Military Times Foundation. Here's the 2023 Airman of the Year.
As a nurse, you can lead, you can teach. I try to tell people all the time just the message of being ready and understanding what your job is and being prepared for anything to change. My name is Major Katie Lunning, and I'm a critical care air transport registered nurse at the 133rd Air National Guard out of Minnesota. I'm part of the critical care air transport team, or CCAT as we call it. It's a 3-person specialized team of a doctor, RN, and RT, and we provide ICU level care to fly the most critically injured or ill to the next higher echelon of care. The Minneapolis VA is where I started, taking care of intensive care unit patients. That gave me the skills that I needed to be a CCAT nurse. There's been a lot of challenges over the years that I've been in the Guard, but definitely the most challenging that I've had was being sent to Afghanistan. On August 26th, I had just returned from a 20-hour mission where I had taken care of intensive care unit patients, and my phone rang, and it was my doc, and he was calling saying there's been an explosion at the airport in Kabul, and we need to go back right this second. We were under the assumption it was a suicide bomber. The crowds had scattered, and it was replaced by Taliban fighters. They were shooting rockets at the airplanes much more frequently at this time when we were trying to land. This was the first time I'd ever been in this severe of a situation. We had 17 Marines, aeromedical evacuation patients who had various injuries from broken limbs to burns, and then we had 5 critical care patients that our CCAT team were taking care of. Some of the hardest emotionally for me on that flight was the Marines. My patients who were on life support and on the ventilator, their buddies would actually help me with them. It was hard watching those Marines interact. They were there for each other. So the one was very much awake and the other one was on the ventilator. And the one that was awake would talk to his friend and keep him calm. He put a blanket on him at one point. He knew how much it hurt him to watch his friend be that injured. The other Marine had chest tubes coming out of everywhere. They had opened his chest at one point to save his life. He was awake, and I took his hand and I told him, I said, you know, we're flying to Germany, you're safe now. I'm gonna give you medicine to make you go to sleep. And he whispered, thank you, over his breathing tube. And it just floored me, like, you're thanking me? Look at what you just did for all of us. The way that the Marines were looking at us was with so much hope and trust, and I didn't want to fail them. So I wanted them to know that we were there caring for them and that they were in safe hands and we were going to get them to safety. My daughter was 8 years old at that time. She's my why. She's the reason that I do this. She's the reason that I serve. I want to be a good example to her. And part of it is that I know that everybody has a why. My teammates have a why. They have children that they want to go home to as well. And I knew that the Marines and service members and the people that we were flying out, they all have a why too. Everybody has somebody. My job is to get them back to their why. Every patient arrived alive and safe. The small part that we can play to getting them home for safety is everything. I hope the legacy I leave behind is awareness of what nurses can do. I'm proud to be an example of nursing and awareness for what the National Guard can do, that it's not just active duty, it's not reserves, but it's a whole team effort. I hope to keep serving as long as they'll have me. I still absolutely love it. I enjoy it. I feel like I'm not ready yet and that there's other challenges ahead of me, so I hope to stay around for a while longer.
Also on the radar for today, a pair of senators wants new criminal penalties for scammers who prey on veterans. Senators Catherine Cortez Masto and Ted Budd introduced the Veterans Protection from Fraud Act this week. It would add up to 10 more years in prison for individuals convicted of mail fraud and similar crimes when the victim is a veteran. In many cases, that could double the sentence already allowed under federal law. Last year, individuals filed nearly 93,000 federal fraud complaints connected to their veterans' benefits or veteran status, and that totaled to more than $164 million. The senators behind the measure said they are concerned that veterans are becoming more of a target. A number of veterans groups support the measure, including the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Paralyzed Veterans of America, and Disabled American Veterans. Whether it can advance in Congress this year, though, remains unclear. The Senate is scheduled to break for the end of the summer starting tomorrow. When lawmakers return, they'll have to rush through a host of budget work before October to avoid a partial government shutdown. No timeline has been set for hearings or votes on the fraud legislation, but it could be rolled into the end-of-year legislative packages focused on veterans' issues. And now here are some other stories that we're hearing chirps about. Russia and China are sending government delegations to North Korea this week for events marking the 70th anniversary of the armistice that halted fighting in the 1950-53 Korean War. A former United States Marine Corps pilot's Australia extradition hearing on U.S. charges, including that he illegally trained Chinese aviators, was postponed this week while authorities investigate the role of an Australian spy agency in his arrest. And Stars and Stripes is reporting that a recent message from the Army's Personnel Office on grooming and appearance standards said female soldiers may wear ponytails for at least another year. And on this day in history, in 1995, President Bill Clinton and South Korea's president dedicated the Korean War Veterans Memorial. That's it for us this morning. To get more top stories and breaking news, go to defensenews.com/Echo Bravo Bravo to subscribe to the Early Bird Brief newsletter. Please give us a like, rating, and a comment wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at @defense_news and @Military Times. The Early Bird Brief is hosted and produced by me, Zimone Z. Perez. Today's episode features stories by myself, Rachel Cohen, and Leo Shane III. Our editor-in-chief is Mike Bruce. Have a great day.